Hey YouTube, my name's Blake B. I'm a collector of things, um, sort of a curatorial guy, a little bit of a procurement guy because I actually do a bit of reselling myself. Um, Started out as a record collector, um, became sort of a book reseller. I have a knack for video games, board games, DVDs, comic books, basically anything that's kind of nerdy, a little bit off the beaten path. Today, my first video here in quarantine, broadcasting from this lovely closet that I share with my wife. I've got some of my collections in here. Some of my finds are in here. So today, I'm actually going to do something that I actually collect, but I never really use, which is kind of unique. The reason I don't use it is because I don't have a way to use it. It's a very small collection, but it still brings me joy. It's LaserDiscs. Now, there's some record collector guys that I know from when I was doing records more actively. Kind of a it's more of a hunt these days than it used to be. No guarantees that you'll find anything good. Sort of a waste of time-ish. But this guy I know, he collects LaserDisc videos, and that's the way he watches movies. He acquires them for $1, $2 a piece at thrift stores or mostly garage sales and estate sales like that. And he just has a big shelf of them and watches movies that way. For me, I just basically pick up anything that looks interesting, that either a favorite movie of mine or just something that looks kind of cool, cover-wise. So let's start. Let's dig in. So the first thing I got here is Joseph Campbell in The Power of Myth. This is a 6-disc set. Now remember, LaserDiscs are two-sided, so each one needs to be turned over. It's not 6 discs, it's 3 discs. But there's 6 sides, I guess you can call it. 6 sides. So that sort of mirrors the DVD, CD/cassette tape version of this. There's 6 CDs in the CD set. One of my favorite things about this is it's some of the best kind of laymen speak about mythology of all time. Joe Campbell sits down with Bill Moyers and he kind of gets into the hero journey. Joseph Campbell wrote the Hero with 1,000 Faces, among many other books. I think he's published 20 or 30 different works about mythology, which is an interest of mine. Comparative mythology is probably, the joke is when I retire, I'm going to go back to school, study comparative mythology. So Joe Campbell, Power of Myth. I actually think this is on, or was on, Netflix recently, within the last year. But I've got a couple DVD versions of it as well. Next up, we got a Bakshi movie, Ralph Bakshi. This is Wizards. I found this at a library sale. Bakshi is the guy who did the Lord of the Rings animated movies, as well as some other animated movies. Kind of an odd movie, a little bit, mythology leaning. Good storytelling, pretty good narrative. I would say kind of put this up in the same category as heavy metal, except it's not as music influenced, but just kind of the animation style as a feel for the time. This was 1970 something, 1977. So same year Star Wars came out, this sucker. All right, next up we got one of my favorite covers. He said Rutger Hauer is split second, so there's a big Boogan behind him. Almost looks like Venom or something from the comic books. But yeah, Rutger Hauer. The funny thing about this movie is it takes place in 2008, which was considered the future. I think this is probably like an 83, 84. Well, actually, I'm wrong, completely wrong. 92, a decade off. Jeez, boy, what's going on? Out of school for a few weeks here. Not really school, but quarantine, and I get that brain. Okay, next up we got, kind of working our way backwards through a Star Wars trilogy. We've got The Return of the Jedi as a widescreen edition. Empire Strikes Back, one of my favorite films of all time. Another copy of Empire Strikes Back. I will buy these till the cows come home. Usually I find them for like $1 or $2 each. Some places, some thrift stores actually price them up. They're starting to price them up a bit just because they think they're collector's items, but they're LaserDiscs. I mean, there's not really a big market for them. Here we got Star Wars, A New Hope, the original first Star Wars movie to hit the theaters. This is kind of before the version's before the special edition. So, you know, pre 97, so this is what, probably early 90s, I would guess, probably 91, 92, 93, for this release. This is, again, before special edition, so this is like, you know, actually a pretty good way to see the movie. Many people talk about the definitive way to see the movie is I think it's like a collector's box version of the original trilogy, which I actually found a couple of versions of that, or a couple copies of it, and sold those online for, I don't know, $150, $250, something like that. It's good money. The problem with that is most thrift stores where I found both copies price them up, you know, tend to price them up. Sometimes it gets a little too rich. The margins don't make sense, at least from a resale perspective. You know, like a $30, $40 price point, it's livable with that. But anything where it starts getting to like the $100 or, you know, $80, $90, $100 that's just not a good investment, even if you're reselling it. No guarantees. It takes a little while to sell them. Next up, we got Sealed Logan's Run. Welcome to the 23rd century. Logan's Run's a great movie. Very futuristic for the time. A little psychedelic, I would even say. This is pre-Star Wars. This is 1975. Great film. It's if you haven't seen it, check it out. It's a little weird, but you know, I like weird, so it's cool. Another version of Logan's Run. It's a different copy, a different press, I guess you can call it. Up next, we have my favorite movie of all time, or at least one of them, probably top 5, because it rotates constant basis for Blade Runner. This up here, see it says the Criterion Collection. What's unique about this is Blade Runner was not released on Blu-ray or DVD in the Criterion Collection, so this is a only in LaserDisc, and you can't even get Criterion VHS, which is kind of crazy, but that concept is just like nil in terms of how to watch movies. But Criterion Collection Blade Runner, I'm pretty sure this is like a low number, 19 for the LaserDisc set. So we've got some supplemental section stuff on here, which is really cool. Of interest, there's a Sid Mead gallery and a Sid Mead reprise. Sid Mead did a lot of the concept design work for Blade Runner. I'm a big Sid Mead fan. He's a futurist artist. He's got his hand in drawing a lot of stuff for, you know, Blade Runner, as well as cars, futuristic cars and vehicles and things like that. I have a couple books of his, which I'll probably eventually get to on this channel. Next up, we have Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Most people kind of shrug this one off. They watch it once or whatever. I like this movie because it's fun. I don't know. It's just like Raiders of the Lost Ark and Temple of Doom. Raiders of the Lost Ark and Last Crusade are both great movies in their own rights for their narrative, but this movie is just plain fun. I can see the faults with this one. I really did like the addition of Short Round, kind of like an Indiana Jones sidekick. A lot of people don't like this movie because of Kate Capshaw, who plays Willie. A little bit annoying. I get that, but I'm more of a Marion Ravenwood fan myself, when it comes to kind of indie love interests. I always wanted to see them together at the end of, eventually end up together. It really is a little bit, I don't know. He kind of reminds me of just someone who doesn't want to be an adventure, who's kind of thrown into it, which is probably what they were going for, but, next up, we have a sealed version of Apocalypse Now. This Francis Ford Coppola film. This is one of the better movies of all time. Definitely not one that you can watch over and over because it's a long movie, and Vietnam's a little bit depressing, but that's that. Then we got Back to the Beach. This is a sealed thing. Picked it up. We've got Gilligan on it, and Clarence Clemens from the E Street Band. Jerry Mathers. There's a Beaver. This is a Frankie and Annette movie, sort of a reprisal of all the beach movies from old. But it's 1980s, and I think got Pee Wee Herman in here too. He does the Bird is the Word dance. I remember watching it as a kid. Next up we got The Warriors, classic film. This is more of a cult film. Before like streaming and stuff like that, it's kind of like a more obscure film. But then it appeared on Netflix, and it's like I kind of put it as like almost like a companion piece to Escape from New York. It's kind of got the same dystopian kind of New York after stuff happens feel. It's about gangs that are vying for territory. It's a pretty good movie. Check it out. What else I got? Oh, this is a good one. Emmanuel, Joys of Women, or Joys of Woman. Now, Emmanuel was a movie that was, I'm sorry, the Emmanuel series was done in sort of like schlock erotic, I guess you can call it. But I was versed in. Come in. Okay, I guess they're not going to come. It's kind of schlock erotica, I guess you can call it. It's like almost like soft porn, but not really. Because there's actually storylines and things like that. They used to show it on Joe Bob Briggs' Drive-In on the movie channel back in the day. I would watch mostly for things like Blood Harvest with Tiny Tim is this clown that's in this crazy killer movie, but he's not a killer, and it's Basket Case, and it's not really Phantasm, because Phantasm's more of a mainstream thing, but Joe Bob did a lot of like just kind of weird and unusual films. So that's the Emmanuel stuff. I found some Emmanuel DVDs before as well. Those, I wouldn't really watch them these days. There's really no reason to. The stories aren't that good. They're just kind of funny and weird and kind of schlocky. Last we got Harold and Maude, my wife's favorite film. I really love the soundtrack. Cat Stevens is pretty much just Cat Stevens music in the soundtrack. Kind of a weird movie. If you like Wes Anderson and you haven't checked this out, you'll definitely love this. It's very awkward. It's about a kid who kind of is a practical joker, fakes his own death and things like that, and he befriends this older woman, and the two of them, kind of develop a relationship as friends. And I won't say too much because I want to leave it to the your viewing to see what happens in the movie. But that's pretty much it. So that's my LaserDisc collection. Pretty small. I actually see LaserDisc films from time to time. A lot of times I really want to buy the Criterion stuff, and I'm just like, okay, well, what am I going to do with these paperweights? I've only got about 20 of them, but it's a little, it's just the tip of the iceberg. I'm going to post more stuff for BB Finds. I collect record collector by trade, comic books as well. I do have board games, a ton of board games, a ton of signed books, regular books, art books, some trading cards, but not really. Video games. Trading cards are more just like old stuff, but it's nothing worth mentioning on this channel. Board games, video games. Toys. Yeah, toys, of course. Who doesn't love toys? And that's pretty much it. I'm passing on my passion kind of to my sons. They really, they're getting some interest in like Lego and things like that, so that's good. But it's good to have some commonality, pass things down. Anyway, I hope all is well, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.